Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to Laughing Place Movie Club. Today we are talking about Safety, the newest Disney Plus original film, premiered on last Friday. And we usually do our shows on Mondays, but this week we had to bump it to Wednesday. So hopefully our regular team of joiners are able to participate. But we have Benji over here. We've got Bekah. And we've got
Hi.
Kyle.
Hello.
So, Safety, a brand new sports film from Disney Plus, from the producers of lots of Disney's sports films. What are your initial thoughts on Safety? We'll start with you, Bekah.
I had a lot of fun with this. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a little more sports, so I was a little disappointed there wasn't as much football. But overall, I enjoyed it.
Being not much of a sports fan, I was happy with the lack of football in the movie. There's much more human interest, and that's what I usually like. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, same. I mean, I think I'd put it above some of the other recent ones I've watched. And I don't know if I was disappointed in the lack of football. I guess I was just surprised. Like, even the ending, I was like, oh, now they're going to play the game. I'm like, oh, no, we're just going to do text. All right.
It's not about winning in this one.
I know, but still, it would have added a nice little thing. And also, I really liked the style of it. It had a lot of interesting cinematography, especially at the beginning, and then also a little bit in the one actual football scene. So.
Yeah, that was actually my question for the director during the press junket. I was really impressed with the up and over camera shots in the dorm room, and he talked about how tricky that was because obviously the dorm was a set. No college dorm is that big. I was so jealous, but they had to take the one wall out. And then as the camera went up and over, they had to slide that wall back in and slide the other wall out so that when it came around, you saw the other wall that wasn't there when they started the arc. And then they said on top of that, the actors just had to pretend like they were getting up in all of those shots or coming back to their dorm. But yeah, even I was impressed with the one actual football game that's in the film. At the way the camera was on the field, it really made you feel like you were part of the team. And I thought that was really impressive and visually exciting. What about you, Benji? What
I got to talk. I mean, I want to talk about that for just a sec. Is that I got a chance to talk to the producer. You must have been busy, Alex. And
well, that was before there was even a trailer for Safety that you talked to Mark Ciardi.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that a lot of the sports movies that we come to know through Disney, it's like a minor league team or a basketball where it's a much more contained environment. College football, even more than the NFL, has huge amounts of fans and huge spectacle to it. So they were able to come in at halftime during a Clemson game last year before COVID and film in like the little, a little brief. It's not like the Super Bowl halftime. They got a few minutes, and I think that added a lot to the film. And I understand that. Knowing that, there's probably why they couldn't show a lot of like other game. It was just because they only had such a window. But it was great that they were able to work on Clemson because in college football too, the stadium is as much a character in a story than anything else. Like it's not like Angels in the Outfield where Oakland Coliseum could be Angel Stadium because it's a '90s baseball stadium where everything just looks like a big circle. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I thought they used that the brief time they had, they used it very efficiently in the film because knowing how normally you have if you have 15 minutes to film, that means you usually get like 15 seconds, and so the fact that they were able to get as much in that little moment was cool. And he did comment as well that he thought it was great that the fans stayed. They didn't go up and leave to go to the bathroom. They didn't. I mean, begs questions, but they were all stayed in to be engaged on the shoot.
Yeah, I think if I had been there, I would have been excited to like be part of a Disney movie. I wouldn't
Absolutely.
I would have forsaken my halftime nerds rope or the footlong licorice rope to stay and be part of that. But I do want to say for anyone watching, we are live right now. If you see the comment section to the right of the screen, feel free to join us. You can just let us know you're watching, or if you have something you want us to talk about from the movie Safety, you can add that. We'll add that to our conversation. But I feel like what Benji just said is a perfect segue about Clemson University. One of the things that really surprised me about the film that I didn't even think about until my second time viewing it when Benji was watching it was how big of a role the university itself plays in the film, but also how well the film makes the college experience look cool without going through like the Animal House level of like, it's about the party, it's about the frat, it's focused on kids who are dedicated to their studies and their sport and their craft, and really working hard but still having fun. Did the film for you, was it a more accurate reflection of your college experience than other college-based films for anybody?
Yeah,
I wasn't
I
that
guess
driven
so.
in college.
What'd you say, Ben?
I wasn't that driven in college. Like I didn't party by any stretch, but I also didn't study as hard as he did, and nor do any of the life stuff that he had to deal with. So
well, that's what I was getting at. Like the party, I mean, I got it out of my system freshman year, but after that, like I was over the college party scene. I didn't go to a school with fraternities. So like none of that. When I see those kinds of college movies, it just feels like that exists in the movies. Like there's not really a place like that.
I did have a job that took me 3.5 hours to get to both ways. So
I just felt like Clemson portrayed on film in this felt a lot more real, a lot more like a university I've seen or visited than what I usually find in college party movies.
I've never actually lived on campus. I attended a community college, then I went to a state school, and I was still living at home, so I was just commuting. And then I went to a private school in Rhode Island, but I had an apartment off campus. So I never had the like campus life party experience. But I think a lot of it is also what you want out of your college experience. Like I definitely could have spent more time on campus with friends and going to different events than I chose to. But yeah, like my college experience was probably very similar to, as far as like, you know, activities and stuff, similar to the kids in the film, where you're just, you know, you've got your studying, you've got your things that you need to focus on, and occasionally you spend time with your friends and go to events.
Yeah, I also never lived on campus, but obviously like went to dorms at several universities to see friends. And I felt like doing the Disney College program gave me the dorm experience I wasn't in. So
Yes.
I feel like I had it just at a different place. What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I did live on campus for a year, and I didn't really do anything. I would mostly hang out in my dorm room or go to the movies with friends and stuff. So in that way, I guess it was more like there's the one mixer at the beginning, and that actually reminded me a lot of when I went with my friend. She was coming from Nevada, and so they had like a out of state meetup or whatever. So I went to that with her, and that's kind of what it was. You know, no one got in a fight or nearly got in a fight, but it was just sort of that little thing, like just show up in this little square of an area. And
I had a friend who was an RA. So that scene when they're trying to sneak the brother in the duffel bag to go to the bathroom, and the RA is like hanging out on the little communal couch with his friends looking all skeptical of everything. That really spoke true to me.
I also wouldn't have been invited to the parties that he was invited to. So my just saying.
Yeah.
I
also didn't run in that circle. I was a theater nerd. So was there anything about safety that surprised you? I know they had put out a trailer, so you kind of knew the gist of the story, but were you surprised by anything that you weren't expecting out of it? We'll start with you, Benji, on this one.
I remember this story happening. You know, it was kind of one of those ESPN game day things every week. You know, because he petitioned the NCAA. It didn't quite go as dramatically as it's depicted in the movie. And, there was questions about his scholarship and all this stuff. But so we kind of knew the end game. But I was impressed with how funny the movie was. For a movie about, and if you look at the log line, brother has to have dropped younger brother after mom enters drug rehab program. And, like, it's not exactly the laugh riot. But they have, they both have fun in the film. And, I think that's, in many ways, I feel that's more true. I mean, we're all going through this COVID time right now, and it can be very depressing. And I think we all have moments where we're kind of frustrated and depressed, but we still find ways to laugh and have a good time, even though, life is more challenging than it was 9 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about you, Kyle?
I think my ignorance to this was the things that led to surprises, like learning that Clemson's in South Carolina and that South Carolina is only like 2 hours from Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also surprised to learn, I knew that this story obviously took place a few years ago, but I didn't realize that the movie was also set like 13 years ago until we pulled out a Sidekick. And I was like, oh, that speaks true to my college experience.
Yeah, that for me was one of the big ones, pulling out like Outkast and Lauryn Hill and Lean Back in the soundtrack. I was like, oh, I know when this is. Like, I lived through this. I was in college at this time. What about you, Bekah?
I don't really have anything.
That's okay. No worries there.
I think it's interesting too, for so long, Clemson has become a powerhouse under Dabo Swinney, and this takes place before that when, it was the Bowden Bowl and all that. And so it's funny Clemson has always had sort of a prestige to it, but it's not the Clemson we know today where it's, always in the conversation. So I think it's funny how it kind of ended up becoming a bigger program than it was when this movie actually took place.
I'm sending the dogs down to you, by the way. But I do want to share a fun fact. Go. I do want to share kind of a fun Disney fact, is that Disney made a movie during Walt's time called what was it called? The Tiger movie, Ben. Has Kevin Corcoran. A Tiger Walks. It's called A Tiger Walks. Moochie, Kevin Corcoran is in it. And in the film, they have this like little song that the community activists sing that want to free this caged tiger at a gas station. And Clemson University uses that as their like fight song. And I was bummed they didn't include it because it's from a Disney movie originally, and they adopted it. And like a very obscure Disney movie at that. It was released on DVD as a Disney movie called Exclusive. So it's kind of hard to find now. So speaking, what were you saying?
Can we take a moment to appreciate that December is Fox month on Disney Plus?
It's a lot of Fox coming to Disney Plus.
And then I was listening to, they have this new podcast, this Soul podcast, Soul Stories. And one of the episodes, they interview Jamie Foxx, and he talks about I Will Always Love You, which is also in this movie. Mm-hmm. And Alex happens to be going through a Dolly Parton phase, so I can't skip that song.
It's everywhere.
Isn't it Jamie Foxx's daughter and as Casey, right?
Oh, is she?
Yeah, I think so.
That's why I said Fox, Foxx.
I didn't even put that together. I mean, obviously she lives with him, so it's not a big deal to her. But I would just think at the press junket, she'd be like, "Hi, I'm Jamie Foxx's daughter."
Well, what's interesting is it's that's not her real last name. It's not Jamie Foxx's real last name. But she, uses Fox as her stage name. Corinne Fox or Corinne Bishop.
I did not even put that together, but that is another fun fact. So you can hear Jamie Foxx in Soul on Disney Plus starting December 25th. Next thing I was going to ask,
Jamie Foxx in theaters in next December.
In what?
Spider-Man.
Oh, we still don't know a lot about that. So my next question was going to be about how you compare safety with the other Disney sports films. I was curious to know what your favorite Disney sports movie is and how you rank safety with your Disney sports movies. We'll start with Benji.
So me?
Yeah.
There's so many good ones. Like Remember the Titans? I kind of think as like starting this era.
Yeah, I would say this era started with Remember the Titans. Rookie kind of passed the torch.
But even like the greatest game ever played.
I count the greatest game. I even count Secretariat.
I don't even know if you count Queen of Katwe. I mean, it's not an athletic sport, but it definitely has that sport vibe to it.
Yeah, I love Queen of Katwe. And even McFarland USA, $1 Million Arm. I would even say The Game Plan you could throw in here, the Dwayne Johnson one, where he finds out he's got a little girl.
You'll have to write down this list because we're doing a draft of Disney sports movies on Sunday. So I'll need to.
Oh, fun! You could even go back to like Mighty Ducks and Angels in the Outfield if you wanted.
But I think there's a difference though between the fiction ones and the true life ones.
That's true.
Because
so maybe we pull Game Plan out. So the true life Disney sports movies.
Yeah, because it's
Miracle.
Yeah, so many good ones.
Yeah. So what's your favorite and where do you rank Safety? If somebody else like has an answer instantly.
Go ahead, Bekah.
I was just going to say, I have not seen a lot of these. I love Remember the Titans. And I think that movie is better than Safety. So just comparing those two, my mind goes to Remember the Titans. But yeah, I have a lot of Disney sports films to catch up on.
Yeah. I think they're all on Disney Plus now. Plus the Sandlot keeps coming and going.
I also haven't seen a lot of them. And I'd say, like, while I wish there was a little bit more football in Safety, the advantage of that is that you don't have those same beats that you have in every sports movie. So I think that was kind of refreshing. So I'd probably put it fairly high, but I would say my favorite Disney sports movie is actually a Fox movie, and that's Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I gotta go back with Bekah on Remember the Titans. I don't know if I'm biased just because it was first and different at the time.
Yeah.
But you know what's nice about this one is there's not like whether they win or lose the game is basically irrelevant. Like it's not that are they going to make the play? There's none of that stuff like in Miracle or where the object is they have a big game and they're supposed to win it. So that's what separates this as opposed to a lot of other. Not all of them. Some of them are not about winning. Some are more character studies, but this one is definitely. I don't even know who they were. I mean, I guess it was the Bowden Bowl, so playing FSU, but irrelevant.
Yeah. I think I'm probably torn between the Rookie and Greatest Game Ever Played, the Francis Ouimet Shia LaBeouf golf movie. I really like that one. But I really enjoyed Safety. I would say Safety is definitely up there for me. Hi, Matthew. Thank you for reaching out. To anybody else watching, we are currently live. If you see the comment section on the side of the screen, so you're welcome to throw out a question or a comment that you have on Safety, and we'll add it.
There's a lot of Disney sports movies coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I think theatrically sports movies have not played well lately. I mean, just like any movie, it's not a major blockbuster. So it's nice that they're. There's the Chris Paul project, Greek Freak. And so there's. It seems like that genre is going to safely live here, for a while, which is cool. I mean, that's one of the things that I talked to Kyle about earlier this week. It's like I know they're announcing all those big budget movies, but I hope they still make Godmothered and Safety because. Those can't, the Disney Plus movies that we got excited about, those could be theatrically released, whereas something like Safety at this point, probably the economics wouldn't allow it. So it's nice that there's a place for that, between a DCOM and, eventually.
Eventually we'll get that Lopez Brothers biopic too. I mean, we're just going to work our way through the Milwaukee Bucks, but.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think we would all turn up for that. And I think they should just play themselves and have at least a montage of them riding rides at Disneyland and or Disney World. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about Safety that we haven't touched on?
The movie would be called Buzzy.
Buzzy.
Find Buzzy. The search for Buzzy.
That'd be the tension.
The whole plot hinges on finding Buzzy.
I really liked the cast. I really liked Famar. He was excellent. Like he was a really great blend of like being mature for his age, but also being a kid and having to go through this where he's not sure if his mom's going to come home, and then he's living with his brother, and just all of the struggles that they had to go through. I thought he did a really great job in that role. I
was impressed by him, but I was also really impressed by the synergy You've got the roommate in a Captain America shirt in his introduction. The one part when he comes back to the dorm and Famar is like using a baseball bat and watching Star Wars and pretending that it's a lightsaber. I was actually surprised that they didn't shoehorn ESPN in there somewhere, like even like an ESPN reporter on the field. Did you see something ESPN, Benji?
They watched a lot of ESPN.
Oh, they watched ESPN. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. ESPN was in there. So I thought that was funny. Like, I feel like Michael Eisner will see this and smile, knowing that the Synergy legacy is still very strong.
Also, I'd like to see the foreshadowing. Like 15 years ago, Captain America was not the big deal he is today. I mean, for me it was, but he wasn't, the cross-cultural phenomenon.
No, in 2006, it would have been Superman shirts. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I will say the RA was wearing a Charlie Brown shirt
at
one
true.
point. So I know that's, not not Disney, except the one Fox movie. But I thought that was interesting that they had that in there as well.
Yeah.
Because he can't kick a football, whereas the other kid could.
Oh, very funny.
Going back to the Synergy, on The Bachelorette, there's a guy, they were interviewing a guy, and he said, be staying home on Friday night watching Dateline. I'm like, you are on ABC, sir. It is 2020.
LP's favorite show, 2020.
Anything else anyone wanted to say about safety before we wrap it up?
What about the soundtrack?
I love the score, and I got to review the score. They put out the digital soundtrack. I can never remember the last song, like the end credit song. It just doesn't stick with me. But the main like optimistic theme of the score, I love, and especially the incorporation of drumline. And I was so excited that it starts at the Walt Disney Pictures logo because it feels like it just instantly sucks you into that college atmosphere. College Road Trip probably should have used that.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but that was one of the first things we said when we started. We're like, "Ooh, this is exciting, actually."
Yeah, and that theme, like I keep hearing it in my head. Something about it reminds me a little bit of the Planes score, which is also like so much better than Planes deserved.
I'll say I know they show part of the Oprah bit over the end credits, but that's on YouTube. If you want to go look it up, it has a lot more. I did think it was kind of weird the way they cut it. They're like, and they're here, and then they don't let them talk. But they do let them talk on the actual Oprah clip. So if you want to look that up, it's interesting. And there's also some old ESPN clips you can find. It's kind of hard to. Some of the stuff that Oprah said, when I watched that, I was like, oh, so they changed this and this and this. But then when I watched the ESPN, I'm like, oh no, either Oprah got that wrong or. But sadly, it doesn't seem like, at least I think, obviously it mentions the mom is clean now, but I think at the time, it doesn't sound like maybe she was necessarily in rehab, but she's okay now. So
yeah, at the press junket, the real Ray McElrathbey was there. And so he was able to answer questions about, the real events compared to what happened in the film. And producer Mark Chiardi talked quite a bit about, finding the story and having to condense it down to a time frame of like 6 months. They wanted this all to unfold over like a semester at school. And so they did have to pull things from elsewhere during his college experience and kind of cram it in that timeline. The real Ray McElrathbey also said that Casey, the character, there wasn't a Casey, and he said there's probably like 5 or 6 girls who are going to see this and think they inspired Casey, which was kind of funny to think about. But I thought that was interesting too. That how much of it they had to kind of fictionalize or move timeline events around to kind of tell this story. But it is based on a true story.
Yeah, and it also kind of raises the stakes that if it's his first couple weeks at school and then he gets I don't think that's actually how it happened, but it made for good storytelling. And you're like, okay, I'll accept your small tips.
Going back to the Oprah clip and Rebecca's impression of the actor who played Famar, somebody asked him about how he prepared for the role. And he said when he got the part, he didn't realize it was based on a real person. So when they told him that, then he went and watched the Oprah clip. But he was like, I wasn't trying to do an impression of how he talked. I was just trying to be true to his story. But it was really cute because he's 12. But he's, as all child actors are, so wise beyond their years.
Mhm.
And they're pretty different.
Yeah. It takes like a special kid to be a child actor. It's not just Shirley Templing anymore. Boop, boop, be doop. Anybody else have anything else they want to say? We're about at the 25-minute mark.
Next week we got Big.
The Tom Hanks 1980s classic, where he's a little boy who wishes to be big, and he gets his wish thanks to his old time machine.
I have so many fond memories of that movie. I'm really worried about watching it again. I feel like there's no way.
It's good. It's good. I always forget Elizabeth Perkins is the love interest in it. And so every time I go back to it, I'm like, oh yeah, Elizabeth Perkins. Where has she been?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been from The Miracle on 34th Street.
Yes.
But
That's
I
what
love
know.
Big. Big always makes me miss the original FAO Schwartz.
Mm.
Big and Home Alone 2. So if anyone has that giant piano, feel free to bring it to the Big Movie Club and perform for us.
Don't have a piano, but my brother had one of the big stuffed dogs.
Oh, those were expensive.
$100.
I remember running at one in the store and hugging it because we had an FAO Schwartz just outside Chicago, and sitting in its lap and being like, want. And my dad looked at the price tag. He was like, there's no room for this. And no.
My brother used it as his regular pillow on his bed for years.
Yeah, I think I tried to justify it as like I wouldn't need a beanbag chair if I had this.
Beanbag chair.
I love that. That's very smart.
Yeah, because our basement was like all beanbag chairs and a NES, and then eventually a Super NES, and then a Sega. But I was like, I could just sit in the dog, in the bear. I'd sit on it.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, but safety will be included in the numerous Disney sports movies that we're going to be doing on our pilot edition of Drafting Place, where me, Mac, Benji, and Doobie will each be doing a snake draft, choosing the movies and trying to make the best lineup we can, and then having people vote on which one of us won.
Cool. Well, hello, Busman. We're about to sign off, but as soon as this is done, this will live forever on YouTube, and you can go back and join us from the beginning if you weren't already. Well, thank everyone for joining us for Laughing Place Movie Club Safety. Tune in next Monday for Big. You can stream it on Disney Plus. Now it's already available, right, Benji?
Yes.
Yeah, that's already on Disney Plus. You can stream it anytime. Join us next Monday to talk about the Tom Hanks classic Big. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.